Good afternoon. My name is Brandon Smith, and I'm here to talk about a very serious problem that is affecting our country as a whole. The issue is post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD for short. This is a very serious condition that is affecting our veterans as they come home from the war. PTSD is a disease that can't be seen with our own eyes. It can only be felt by the individual who's conflicted with the disease. This disease is a result of the stress inflicted on one's brain. It is caused by the events that occur throughout one's life in the war zone. As of the year 2014, there are 2.7 million veterans of the Afghanistan and Iraq wars. This new wartime in our country has country's history is sending young men and women to war at an unprecedented rate. These troops are serving longer and more frequent tours. This repetitive action is causing more men and women to be inflicted with PTSD. As men and women come back with PTSD, dire consequences are being felt. 22 veterans take their life every single day. 22. With troops coming home, this number is expected to rise. In the career field we have all chosen, we know veterans of both wars. We see them in their day-to-day lives. We've even seen the consequences of that PTSD as they kind of swirl in a downward spiral. There is a need to address the problem, and there's a time to address it is now. The first thing I want to do is give you some facts about the disease and how it affects individuals. I want you to see how dangerous this is and how widespread it is right now. As wars rage around the world, we are battling a problem that will not go away. The men and women returning home are suffering. They are suffering from what they have been through, and they are suffering from what they have witnessed. Soldiers are returning home and they just seem off. They just aren't the same. They're detached. This is no longer has to be the case. We can fix the problem if we identify it, and right now we are identifying that problem. The problem is there is not enough recognition of the disease. Since it manifests itself in many forms, it is not often diagnosed quickly. As this disorder is ignored, social issues as well as financial problems possibly follow. There are currently an estimated 300,000 people battling this disease, and that's from the recent 2 wars alone. That means 1 in 5 returning home have felt this silent disease. It is important to recognize the signs and symptoms of this disease. This is anger problems, it's a restlessness, it's nightmares, it's anxiety, it's a dissociation from oneself and one's family. People often isolate themselves and they try and deal with these symptoms on their own. These are all very troubling symptoms. These are symptoms that can manifest themselves in one's brain until a serious event can occur. Addiction will also present itself as they try and cope with these inner feelings that are going on throughout their brain. The dissociation from reality can lead to one life to spiral out of control. Under a worst case scenario, a life may be lost. A suicide may happen. You can often see these results as you drive around the streets of Los Angeles. You can see the many veterans who fell into a life of addiction, which has led them to the street. Many things led to this, but it all goes back to one root cause. That root cause is PTSD. Not only is it a local problem here in Los Angeles, it is also a national problem. As I have mentioned before, 11 to 20% of troops develop some form of PTSD. Whether it be severe or mild, it's all the same. It is PTSD. This means we need more programs and outreach to capture these victims before the disease manifests itself. As you can see clearly, there is a need to get these heroes the treatment that is needed. As the veteran healthcare system faces delays, these often result in dire consequences. We need to combat this problem now, and organizations have arose to combat this problem. The program I want to talk to you about today is the Wounded Warrior Project. The Wounded Warrior Project is a nonprofit organization that is at the forefront of treating veteran injuries. It treats physical injuries and is now spearheading PTSD as it becomes more relevant in society today. There are 2 ways that you can help with the Wounded Warrior Project, and I'm going to discuss both of those. The first way to help out is with your basic monetary donation. Just give a few dollars. This few dollars can go ahead and help the programs that they run. The way they help the veterans is they refer them to the doctors and they get the treatment they're needed. They're there to answer the questions that won't be answered anywhere else. That is why it is so important to give that monetary donation. If you feel like you want a more hands-on approach, you can volunteer your time. You can see firsthand how this is going to help. So you can give your time, and you can give it all through the website. You can give it in person. You just have to get involved with this organization. So after you decide to get involved, you can move forward. The results will be seen immediately if you're hands-on. While if you donate a monetary amount, your results will not be as clearly identified. But know there are results happening all over the country with this great organization. Inaction is the greatest disservice you can do for your veterans. Inaction shows a total disregard for the sacrifice they have made for your freedom and your safety. Without action, many more lives will be lost to this unforeseen disease. As you can easily see, this is an important issue, and there's an easy answer to help this issue. You may not spearhead it, but you can do your part and you can help the troops. As I've described, this disease affects many people. As troops return home, acclimating to a normal life is very difficult. Some people just can't figure out how to do it. You may not be able to see these wounds, but the wounds are there. There is damage to the brain, and the brain is not functioning how it was before. You need to get involved in order to make this important issue. We have an obligation to our service members. We have an obligation to our country. Just like those soldiers answered the call and they were called to duty, it is time that we answer the call and we answered their needs. It's time to give back to them. Make a decision that will help the members of your military. Make a decision that will help your country as a whole. Thank you for listening and have a good day.